After 17 races and 7 countries, it comes down to the 18th and final race of the 2016 Formula V8 3.5 season to determine who will be crowned champion. It's a very warm welcome from Ben Evans to the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for the final race of the 2016 campaign. Louis Delétraz leads the championship by 6 points over Tom Dillman, and the next 40 minutes and a lap will determine who will emerge triumphant. And it's Louis Delétraz who has got today off to the best possible start, putting the car on pole position. But it is a chilly autumnal afternoon here in Barcelona. The temperatures really dropped away over the course of the weekend, and the drivers on their sighting laps getting the cars perfectly dialed in. Here is then the championship situation. Delétraz leads Dillman by 6 points. They're the only drivers who could take the title this afternoon, but it will be a very closely run thing. Igor Yuruchov, by dint of his victory yesterday, has moved up to 3rd in the points. So Louis Delétraz will start today on pole, with Tom Dillman down in 7th on the grid. Qualifying this morning was held in tricky conditions because very heavy rain last night washed away the rubber on the circuit, but also still left the track damp until late in the morning. So let's hear from our pole sitter, Louis Delétraz, who prevailed in the tricky conditions earlier on.
Louis Delétraz for Motorsports is the right moment for snatching the pole.
Yes, an amazing qualification this morning. Was a bit damp, everyone on slicks. We had to do the job. The last lap will be the quicker, so I knew it, I prepared it, and I did everything the last lap to make a perfect one, and it worked out, so very happy about that. Now we have a race and a championship to win.
Louis, a tremendous pace, strong mind in the last 2 meetings, and it's the time to deliver.
It is definitely time to deliver. 3 runs ago, I was 40 points behind Tom Dillman. Now we're 6 ahead. I said I will never give up to this championship, and that's what we've done. Still 1 race to go, so now we keep pushing, focus, and let's do it.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.
So Louis Delétraz full of confidence after qualifying, and as he was saying, with the track drying, it all came down to a single lap shootout late on. It was Delétraz who prevailed. The car we see practicing start there, Tom Randall, unfortunately was one of those who got caught out in the tricky conditions early on in qualifying, and so the Comtech driver will start down in 15th. For Louis Delétraz, this the opportunity to claim the Formula V8 3.5 championship in his rookie season. Tom Dillman, who's been the championship leader ever since we left the Motorland Aragon way back in April, finally had his lead overhauled in Jerez and dropped 6 points adrift to Delétraz yesterday. But of course, with 25 points for the win, 18 points for second place, if Dillman wins and Delétraz comes second, then the championship is Tom Dillman. So there is absolutely everything to race for. But for Dillman, he's got his work cut out because he's going to have to fight his way up through the field and then past Delétraz. But his task is made easier because today is the pit stop race. They must come in between laps 5 and 15 and change at least 2 tyres. And so that does give an opportunity for drivers caught in traffic to use the element of strategy, pit in at a time of their choosing, and possibly either over or undercut their rivals. Jack Aitken continuing his very impressive start to his Formula V8 3.5 career by qualifying in 3rd place. So we'll go down to the grid in a moment and hear from some of the personalities here to watch the racing in Barcelona.
Thank you, Mr. Philippe Musati, responsible of a competition client in Michelin Motorsports. It's an honor to have you here. A long partnership with this discipline, Mr. Musati.
Yes, it's true. We're very proud of it. If I remember well, we started 19 years ago, so it's a long trip we make together. And next year should be the 20th birthday, so should be fantastic, fantastic history we share. First of all with the World Series by Renault, and always through RPM organization. And now this year we're very happy to take the challenge together with RPM to keep this series, let's say, live, because it's not so obvious when everything was at risk last season. and it was a success. I think this season was a very interesting success, as well on a sportive plan, as on a technical plan, and a lot of drivers we know from this series had been upgraded to Formula One, and it's a natural step going to Formula One, and everybody know that the dream of any of these drivers is to one day finish in a Formula One car. So we are happy to contribute to this challenge and to be part of the history of all these young drivers.
Thank you very much, Merci Moussati.
Thank you, welcome.
So that's Philippe Mazzatti on the grid as the cars now taking up their positions. So it's Delatraz in pole. He shares the front row of the grid with Matevos Isakian, one of our winners from Jerez last weekend. And Isakian hitting a very rich vein of form in the closing stage of the season. And then third on the grid, Jack Aitken. Can he nail his start today? And then Roy Nassani will start in fourth. Let's go back down to the grid.
Okay. So we're here with Luis Perez Sala, Formula One driver, and now 20 years, Luis, coaching the young guns in the Circuit of Catalunya, Barcelona, which is celebrating his 25th anniversary. Such a long story, Luis.
Yes, really, we are very happy. For me, this circuit, my home city is Barcelona, as you know, and I have been waiting for this track many, many years. My last Grand Prix was in '89 in Jerez, and then we launched in Barcelona the Formula One Grand Prix in '91. That for me has been, I'm very proud to be here and then to be part of the Jam Circuit de Barcelona drivers.
With so many names, Miguel Molina, Jaime Alguersuari, so many, Daniel Juncadella, very important and professional drivers through your hands. How is your work with them? How is to pick up these very young guys with 15, 14 and see the day they jump into the professional life?
Oh, we're trying to transmit what we have learned those years, and to try to let them to grow as fast as possible, to do as less mistakes as possible as well. And I'm with them looking at the go-karts and then starting the first steps of formulas of motorsport. I will say Formula 4, until Formula 3, no more, because then they have to live, to drive and to go to the teams and to keep their own life.
Thank you very much, Luis, and I hope another 25 years here in the circuit, and lots of luck for the young guys coming from the Circuit Barcelona-Catalunya.
We will try to be here after 25 years. Welcome, thank you very much.
Sure you will.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Luis Perez Sala on the grid, who works tirelessly to develop young drivers in Spanish motorsport, based here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. So the tension mounting now ahead of the final race of the Formula V8 3.5 season. Giuseppe Cipriani, wheel of his Durango car, fully focused on the task ahead. Some of the mechanics beginning to clear from the grid. And here is Louis Delatraz leading the way, 6 points, as we said. And really, he just wants the race to get underway, get on with doing what he does best. Delatraz, who has only won twice this season. Matevos Isakian then in second position on the grid. And Isakian, his last couple of weekends of the year, really finding his stride and going superbly well in the SMP racing car. Third on the grid for Jack Aitken. Aitken has been blisteringly fast in all 4 qualifying sessions in which he's participated. The key, though, for Aitken is going to be whether or not he can play that qualifying pace into a good start, which has been his downfall on 2 of the 3 starts he's taken so far. Fourth on the grid for Roy Nassani. Great to see the Israeli driver back towards the front of the field. 1 point, it looks as if he was most likely to challenge for the championship, but he's had a challenging run in to the season. But this is the opportunity to finish the year on a high and get back onto the podium for Pietro Fittipaldi. An excellent qualifying performance of 5th, and he will be going all out, I'm sure, to see if he can claim his first podium finish in the championship. His best result of the year to date was a 4th place in Monza. Rene Binder again showing the resurgence of Lotus back towards the front end of the field. Qualifying in 6th place, just behind teammate Nasani on the 3rd row of the grid. And Binder secure in 7th in the standings. So this is the man who's got it all to do. Tom Dillman, the AVF car. Just one victory this year for Dillman. That came in race 2 at the Hungaroring. Dillman very focused on the work ahead. For Mathieu Vaxivière, it has been an up and down season. He's had a couple of spectacular victories, a number of other trips to the podium, but that has been interspersed with quite a few retirements along the way, as he has been supporting the SMP team on their first year in the championship. For Ranian Panis and the Arden team, celebration yesterday as Arden claimed the team's championship. And Panis and teammate Yurudshov locking out the 5th row of the grid. Not quite what they would have hoped in qualifying, in particular for Igor Yurudshov, who has won 3 of the last 4 races. So, Vitor Baptista there, he is 13th on the grid in the 2nd of the RP cars, as it is the 15-second board that's about to be shown to the drivers. Then they've got the final green flag lap to get a sense of the conditions on the circuit, and then we'll be racing 40 minutes plus 1 lap, mandatory pit stop between laps 5 and 15. And at the end of the race, we will find out who is going to be the champion for 2016. For now, though, the engines fire up, and away we go on the formation lap. Last chance to get some heat into the Michelin tyre, as Yu Kanemaru, another driver starting from the back of the field after discovering that gravel slows these cars down very effectively in qualifying, but doesn't mean that you can set a quick lap time. And so he spun out early on in qualifying along with Tom Randall, so they'll be looking to progress from the 8th row. So the field picking their way up through turns 2 and 3. Here's the grid in full. Louis Delatraz and Matevos Sasakian on the front row. Then Jack Aitken and Roy Nassani on row 2. 3rd row of the grid, Pietro Fittipaldi and Rene Binder, and then Tom Dillman from 7th. What can he do? And Mathieu Vaxivière shouldn't be discounted for a win from 8th place. Aurélien Panis and Igor Yurudshov and all Arden row 5. And Boats Gavissa and Alfonso Calis on row 6. And then Vitor Baptista and Giuseppe Cipriani from Tom Randall and Yu Kanemaru, who will complete the grid. There's always something very special about end-of-season races when the championship is on the line. You're often racing as well in the autumn light, which is just beginning to dip and fade. The cloud cover coming in over the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. And this is what all of these drivers dream of, taking a spectacular championship win, racing wheel to wheel with their rivals. Now, what can Tom Dillman do? He finished 3rd yesterday from pole position. That was his first podium since the Red Bull Ring in September. And it was really that hot streak at the start of the season of 6 consecutive podiums that gave him that stranglehold on the championship. But consistency is the key, as evidenced by the fact Louis Delatraz has had just 1 win this year. Just 2 wins this year. Tom Dillman has had just 1 victory. In contrast, Igor Yurudshov has won 5 times, but he is out of championship contention. The start is going to be all important. Strategy is going to be all important. And having to go wheel to wheel with your rivals is going to be all important as well. But for Fortec Motorsport, they took the crown last year with Oliver Rowland. Can they make it a 2nd year in succession with Louis Delatraz? Richard Dutton, the principal of the Fortec team, watching from the garage. 2nd AVF car of Alfonso Calis coming to his position as well. A few squirts of the throttle, get some heat into the Michelin tyre. Randall comes to his marks once the Teo Martin Motorsport car of Yu Kanemaru is in place. We'll be ready to go for the last time this year. The field is set and ready. The green flag is waved. The revs start to rise as everybody looks to the gantry for the 18th time this year. We're not about to go racing because we've got Igor Yuruchov, who has stalled on the 5th row of the grid, and so the tension continues to mount. There's going to be an extra formation lap, and so for the second time this weekend, the tension goes up a notch, and it's yesterday's race winner, Igor Yuruchov, who's in trouble. So the Russian driver waving, getting the attention of the marshals in plenty of time. So for Dillman and Delatraz, they know how important the start is going to be, and to have that postponed for another 2 minutes is not what they want. It means that we have 2 minutes, though, knocked off the race distance, so it's going to be 38 minutes plus a lap. And another chance for the drivers to inspect the track. As Yuruchov shakes his head, and sadly for Igor Yuruchov, this has been slightly the story of his season, in that there have been a lot of retirements and non-points finishes that have been coupled with those superb drives to victory into the podium. But for a little bit more luck, the Russian driver would surely have been in the title fight coming to this afternoon. So the Arden team get to work firing the car up. The rest of the field continuing on their way on the formation lap. Well, yesterday it was the turn of Jack Aitken on the grid who got into trouble, which is what caused the delay of the start today. It's Igor Yuruchov. Hopefully, this time around, we will go racing. As the field heading down towards turn 10, you can see the ripples in the road that are created by the massive braking pressures exerted into that section of the circuit. It's a downhill braking zone. You've got all this aerodynamic grip on the cars, pressing them into the track. Roy Nassani, 6th in the championship standings, and that silver streak midsummer feels like a little bit a long time ago now, when he finished 2nd in both races, and Paul Ricard won both races at Silverstone. But Nassani has got every opportunity to finish the championship on a high, and a good result for Nassani today could well see him propelled up to 4th in the standings, so he has certainly got everything to race for as well. Louis Delatraz rolls to his pole position mark. Hopefully we'll go racing this time around. He comes to a halt. Matevos Asakian in position. So are Jack Aitken and Roy Nassani. The SMP racing team discuss matters. Alfonso Calis goes through the same routine as a lap ago. This time around, will we go racing? The last couple of cars come up to their marks. Again, the all clear is signalled from the marshal at the rear of the field. The revs rise once more. The red lights come on now. We will go racing this time around, and away we go. And it's a great start from Matevos Asakian and Pietro Fittipaldi. And Louis Delatraz is going to be jumped by a couple of people towards turn 1. He's in the midfield group, and in fact, he's got Tom Dillman just behind him. It's 4 wide into the first corner. It's Asakian from Nassani, Fittipaldi, then Delatraz and Dillman. Jack Aitken takes the escape route. So does Yu Kanemaru, as they rejoin at the rear of the field. Delatraz has been shuffled down the pack with Vaxivière and Dillman doing battle for 5th and 6th. They've got René Binder just behind them. Alfonso Calis pressurising Aurélien Panis at turn 4. It might work out, in fact, for Calis as he looks to the inside of the Frenchman at turn 5. Panis, though, slots his nose in front, but at the front of the field, Sakian trying to make good his escape from Nassani, and then Pietro Fittipaldi, who was hoping to score a podium, and he made a lightning getaway. Now this is the golden opportunity for Tom Dillman. He needs to outscore Louis Delatraz by 7 points, because they tie on points, then it goes to a count back, and on victories, then it is going to go Delatraz's way, because he scored 2 wins to Dillman's 1. So for Tom Dillman, there he is. He has got to get past Louis Delatraz, and then he's got to finish 6 points clear of him. So, for example, that would mean that if Dillman were to finish 2nd, Delatraz would have to finish in 5th to give Dillman the championship field. Jink through the chicane at the end of this first lap of the race. Got one car under investigation. That's Alfonso Cayles. As Vitor Baptista gets in the tow as they head into the first corner. Plenty of jostling behind. Still Panis and Cayles do battle. And this time, oh, there's contact. Aurélien Panis tangles with Alfonso Cayles. There's debris all over the track. And I don't think Panis has picked up too much damage, but Cayles is stricken. He should be able to get going. The problem is going to be there's shards of carbon fibre everywhere. You can see that Aurélien Panis has dinked his front wing as well. Tom Randall fighting to the inside of Hugh Kanemaru. And then the outside as they head down towards turn 5. It's the blue and white Comtech car at Randall. The outside of Kanemaru. Vitor Baptista just ahead of them. So the front of the field, as we were, that leading quintet, Isakian, Nissany, Fittipaldi, Delatraz and Dillman. Then we've got this gap in the traffic to Aurélien Panis, who has got all this traffic queuing up behind him. And Panis is somewhat caught here. Does he peel into the pits? As everybody looks to try and find their way past him. Panis shuts the door on Vitor Baptista. Baptista necessarily slows. I think he may have lost the engine, at least temporarily there, Vitor Baptista, because he gets past by about 4 cars. Igor Yuruchov is one of them. He looks to the outside of Vitor Baptista. Here's another look at it. Alfonso Cayles to the outside of Aurélien Panis. They just interlocked wheels. Around goes Cayles, and that's the tag. And you can see the shards of debris. Look at it from the other angle. It's not much in the way of contact. But the race leaders pick their way through. There is Dillman behind Delatraz. But don't forget, it's not enough for Tom Dillman just to get past Louis Delatraz. He's got to get past the Swiss driver and then gain a couple more places as well. The pit lane opens at lap 5. That also starts to put a bearing onto things. But Isakian and Nissany have checked out at the front of the field. Then we've got Pietro Fittipaldi in 3rd. Delatraz in 4th, definitely coming under pressure from Tom Dillman, as Aurélien Panis equipped with a new nose cone and sent on his way. So frustrating day at the office for the Arden squad. Both of their cars getting in trouble early on. Here we go. Isakian from Nissany. And Fittipaldi. Dillman really in pursuit of Delatraz. And Louis Delatraz trying to close up on to the tail of Pietro Fittipaldi. So Nissany last time round set the fastest lap of the race. And the Israeli trying to chase down the Russian, Matevos Isakian. And Pietro Fittipaldi in 3rd. Delatraz and Dillman, the 2 championship contenders, running as one. It's an interesting strategic call here for the AVF team. So they bring in Delatraz, or bring in Dillman early, try to get the undercut on Delatraz. Or do they leave him out there as he can follow Louis Delatraz very comfortably? Because qualifying this morning, because it essentially came down to a 1-lap shootout at the end of the session, wasn't necessarily true race pace that we were seeing from people. So whichever way they've gone and set up could be interesting to watch for as the next 30 minutes or so unfold. Out of turn 4, down into turn 5. And Louis Delatraz definitely a little bit off the pace in these early stages of the race. Certainly in comparison to Matevos Isakian, who has put the hammer down and gone early on in the SMP racing car. Second place, Roy Nissany staying with him. As into the pit lane comes Vitor Baptista. Potentially frustrating end to the season for the RP Motorsport driver. Looks like he is going to be plugged in and sent back on his way. And Isakian and Nissany already 4 seconds up the road ahead of Pietro Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi already with a second over the Delatraz and Dillman battle, and then it's 3 seconds back to Mathieu Vaxivière. It's through the final turn for the race leaders, then this fight for 3rd. They do have DRS available to them. Question mark about when they choose to use it, and I imagine that in the case of Delatraz and Dillman, they'll be saving it until late on, or using it when an opportunity to make a move presents itself, and it doesn't this time around, so they're into their 5th lap of the race. The pit window opens shortly, and that's when it starts to come down to what the teams can do in the pit stops. And typically through the year, we have seen Fortec and Arden have been the exemplar teams in the pit stop, but the AVF squad need to have an excellent day with Tom Dillman. Now, in the case of both Delatraz and Dillman, do they look to bring in the teammates first to make sure everything's working? This is a pass from Igor Yuruchov on Jack Aitken, so the Russian up into 11th place. Out of turn 9, downhill towards turn 10, Isakian and Nisani. Pace setting at the front of the field, the SMP Racing kart leading the Lotus kart. For Matevos Isakian, I think he'll be very heartened with the way that the season has come to a close for him. So he's got to grips with the more powerful cars. It's really rewarded him late on in the year. It was a great victory in Jerez last weekend, and he's following up with an unflustered drive currently at the front of the field here in Barcelona as he deploys the GRS down the front straight. Roy Nisani does the same. And Nisani, certainly under the slipstream, able to close up a little bit behind Matevos Isakian. We've got one car in the pits, and Tom Dillman is into the pit lane as soon as the pit window opens. So Dillman, the first car to make their pit stop. Fight for the lead continues on its way. There is Kanemaru, who's also ducked in. So Dillman clearly feels he's a little bit quicker than Louis Delatraz, looking for the chance to undercut the Swiss driver. Kanemaru service now on his way. So is Tom Dillman. Two leaders, meanwhile, swooping down out of turn 5. As Nisani scents blood here. Opportunity to try and break clear of Matevos Isakian. Question mark, of course, about whether Nisani's going to try and force this move on the track, or if he is going to see if he can use the pit stop to do it. The incident between Oranian Panis and Alfonso Calis having no further action. Seems fair enough. It looked like just a racing incident. Isakian and Nisani jink through the chicane. Does either driver duck to the pits? No, they don't. Nisani, having set the fast lap of the race last time round, not quite as close to Isakian on this occasion. In fact, concedes the 4/10 that he gained on the previous lap. Into the pit lane, meanwhile, comes the championship leader, Louis Delatraz. So Delatraz is in. What can the Fortec team do? I've got one eye on the television picture. I've got another eye on the far side of the circuit. And Tom Dillman is heading into the chicane as we speak. Oh, and it's a slightly slower pit stop for Delatraz. Just a little bit of effort to attach the rear, but he's going to have a reasonable buffer. Or is he on Tom Dillman? Here comes Dillman, hurtling down, and Dillman may just jump Delatraz as they head towards turn 1. Here are the championship rivals, and it's going to come down to the challenge into the first corner, and Dillman swoops through. The undercut has worked, and Tom Dillman moves clear of Louis Delatraz on the track position. Now, what can Dillman do about gaining those 6 points that he needs? He's done half the job. He's ahead of the Swiss driver. Now, can he do the rest of it? He's got 27.5 minutes to play with, Tom Dillman. And this is his opportunity to do something very, very special. For Louis Delatraz, though, he can just afford to ride shotgun behind Tom Dillman. The good news for both of them, though, is that they've emerged from the pits ahead of Mathieu Vaxivière. So now for Tom Dillman, every lap is going to be like a qualifying lap, because Isakian, Nisani and Fittipaldi are all yet to make their pit stops. That last lap for Tom Dillman, it was an out lap, but his current lap is on course to be the fastest lap of the race. Dillman heads around turn 12. He's currently playing 1 minute 34 ones from the race leaders. If he can get beneath that, well, it'll be, first of all, a phenomenal lap, but secondly, it might just offer a glimmer of hope. Here he comes through the final turn, and Dillman smashes the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 33.2. And so he builds the buffer over Louis Delatraz, and Dillman uses his DRS. As I say, he's going to have to treat each and every lap here like a qualifying lap. He's already looking set fair to get the undercut on Pietro Fittipaldi. But really, he'll also, if he can, need to find a way to overhaul one of Matevos Sasakian and Roy Nissany as well, and hope that Delatraz can't do the same. At the current rate of progress, it's going to be interesting to see, of course, whether or not Fittipaldi emerges ahead of Delatraz. But given that they're Fortec teammates, I don't think it will take a rocket scientist to probably determine that Pietro Fittipaldi isn't going to make life too difficult for Louis Delatraz in finding a way past. So this is the fight at the front of the field between Matevos Sasakian and Roy Nissany. And Sasakian pressing on. They can go until lap 15 to make their pit stop. That last lap from Sasakian was a 1 minute 33.9. 1 minute 33.8 for Nissany. So they're both elevating their pace as well and doing it in such a way that it's not going to be enough for Tom Dillman to undercut either of them. Of those that have pitted, Tom Dillman is at the front of the queue. It's Jack Aitken heads into the pit lane in front of me now. So Aitken ducks in from what was 7th place. The RP team get to work, and Aitken, well, his chance is slightly high on by taking the escape route at turn 1. Climbing out of turn 2, or rather out of turn 7 and 8, are Matevos Sasakian and Roy Nissany. Giuseppe Cipriani into the pits as well. The Durango team get to work. Oh, not sure that Nissany, or rather Cipriani, should have quite got the signal to get going. Then he does now. Fortunately, he doesn't take any of his mechanics with him. Dillman is setting an absolutely blistering pace. He's 31.9 seconds back from Sasakian and Nissany. What I can't tell you is what the length of the pit loop time is. It's not coming up on the timing screen. Here's the replay then. The mechanics fortunately getting stopped just in time. Now Pietro Fittipaldi is in from 3rd. So Fittipaldi is in the pits from 3rd place. So again, this is one eye on the far side of the circuit, one eye on what's going on in front of us. And Dillman has moved ahead of Alfonso Calis on this lap, and Calis is now busy bottling up Louis Delatraz. You can see from our pit window. So Vetscavissa goes on her way. Pietro Fittipaldi is on his way. If we look out to turn 1, the question mark is whether or not... Here is Giuseppe Cipriani. He's about to go a lap down to Sasakian and Nissany, but the big question is whether or not Fittipaldi has emerged from the pits ahead of or behind Tom Dillman, and the answer is that Fittipaldi has been jumped in the pits by Tom Dillman, but Louis Delatraz hasn't, and Delatraz is still behind Alfonso Calis. Oh, this is absolutely fascinating. The two leaders busy doing battle, and now they get caught behind Giuseppe Cipriani. This opens up a little bit of a window for Tom Dillman as well. So Sasakian and Nissany losing a little bit of time on this lap as Sasakian now peels into the pits. Nissany continues on his way. So once more, it's one eye on the pit lane as Sasakian runs down to the SMP pit box, one eye out to the far side of the circuit. Tom Dillman is coming through turn 12 now as Sasakian runs to a halt. It's going to be unlikely, I would suggest, for Dillman to get the undercut on Sasakian. Oh, it's not, because there's a problem for Sasakian. The wheel gun has jammed, and Sasakian is on his way now. And so Matevos Sasakian, this is going to be fascinating where he rejoins. We're watching Nissany, who's still bottled up behind Giuseppe Cipriani, and suddenly events are swinging in favour of Tom Dillman, who comes thundering past us. and it's really what's going on at turn 1 that's key. Oh, yes, Dillman has jumped to Sakian, but so has Louis Delatraz. So Louis Delatraz is behind Pietro Fittipaldi as Sakian has dropped down behind both Dillman and Delatraz, but also Fittipaldi. Well, this is quite something. Now, Louis Delatraz behind his Fortec teammate Pietro Fittipaldi. Don't think that Fittipaldi's going to delay him for too long. There is Tom Dillman. Here is Fittipaldi. It all comes down to the points differential now, and that amount of time that Roy Nissany was losing behind Giuseppe Cipriani. Nissany, I can tell you, is now past Cipriani. And here comes Dillman into turn 9. It's going to have to be a really good pit stop from the Lotus team here, because Nissany has had 2 laps in the high 1-minute 34s, playing Dillman in the low 1-minute 33. So Nissany's given away about 3 seconds to Dillman over the last couple of laps, and Nissany is in the pits now. So we're watching Fittipaldi versus Delatraz. The race leader, Roy Nissany, is into the pit lane. And this is going to be crucial. Can the Lotus team service Nissany smoothly? He comes to a halt. New rear tyres to go on the car. That's a nice smooth pit stop, and I think it's going to be enough here for Nissany as he rejoins the race. Where is Tom Dillman? The next camera angle will tell us as they head towards turn 1. There is Alfonso Cayles. Dillman is at the other end of the straight, and Tom Dillman is going to be right up behind Nissany. He's already gone from this picture. So still Delatraz behind Fittipaldi, with Matevos Sakian trying to chase him down. Now, who's going to come through? And Dillman has jumped Nissany through the pit stop. The timing screen is telling us that Dillman is through sector 1 ahead of Roy Nissany. And so we're watching Delatraz behind Fittipaldi, but it's the 16 car of Tom Dillman, which I think is clear of Roy Nissany just further up the road on the track. And that's really the battle that we need to try and see. Here it is. So there is Dillman and there's Nissany. So Tom Dillman has taken the lead of the race on the road. And this is quite incredible. What a performance from Tom Dillman from 7th on the grid. Meanwhile, here is a replay of Yurudshov challenging Kanemaru. Around the outside he goes. Or that's Visser, in fact, for Yurudshov. But Tom Dillman is at the queue of those that have pitted. Rene Binder comes into the pits now, and here's the final front runner to make his pit stop. But Tom Dillman, when this shakes out, is going to be the leader of the race, and if it stays like that, Dillman is going to take the championship from Louis Delatraz, no matter what else Delatraz does, unless he beats him. This has been an incredible drive from Tom Dillman. He leads, essentially, because Tom Randall, there he is in the Comtech car, is yet to make his pit stop. So Randall, he's inherited the lead of the race, but he's not pitted in yet. So essentially, we can discount the Comtech driver. Of those that have pitted, it's Dillman from Nissany, Fittipaldi, Delatraz, then Sakian. So this is going to be quite the finish to the race. The question, of course, is with 80 minutes to go, has Tom Dillman pushed too hard on these tyres early on? Has he got enough grip left to see him through to the checker flag? They made the gamble of the early pit stop. It has worked, and now Tom Dillman has been played in to a perfect position with regards to taking the result, because Louis Delatraz has got 2 cars to find a way past before he gets back onto terms with Tom Dillman. Dillman doesn't want to get entangled here with Tom Randall. There you see the gap. Dillman, the bright orange car. Delatraz, the red and black car. And he's got a Sakian closing up onto his tail as well. Louis Delatraz, possibly the championship is slipping through his fingers. He doesn't want to get embroiled in a battle with Matevos Sakian. So they head down through out of turn 13 into the chicane. And there is Dillman from Nissany. Randall's into the pits now, so it is Tom Dillman who leads the way. 2nd place is Roy Nissany. 3rd, Pietro Fittipaldi. 4th is Louis Delatraz. And Tom Dillman, as it stands, is the champion on the road. He will be 7 points clear of Louis Delatraz. at the flag. But with a 7-point differential from first to second, as Alfonso Celis has his pit stop, it means that Dillman is played in absolutely beautifully. There's a 10-second penalty for Alfonso Celis. Not quite sure why that is. But what's interesting here is that Louis Delatraz is unable to really get onto terms with teammate Pietro Fittipaldi. The extra 3 points that would be offered for passing Fittipaldi would bring him to 4 points adrift, but he needs, with Dillman leading the race, to try and chase down Tom Dillman. Well, after qualifying, and certainly based on the body language on the podium yesterday, you really felt that momentum had swung in favour of Louis Delatraz, but now it's Tom Dillman who is poised to claim the championship with his second victory of the season. He leads through, completes the 14th lap. He's 2.3 seconds up from Roy Nissany. Third place is Pietro Fittipaldi. Fourth is Louis Delatraz. Fifth, Matevos Sasakian. Sixth is René Binder. Seventh, Mathieu Vaxivière. Seventh, Igor Yuruchov. Eighth is Boetz Kvisa. Ninth, Yukan Amaru. Well, those series of essentially qualifying laps from Tom Dillman would appear to have done the trick somewhat. But now for Dillman, it's a case of navigating the next 15 minutes. Has Nissany got anything to come back at Dillman with? That is the other question. But that last lap from Roy Nissany, which was his personal best lap of the race, was 0.3 slower than that of Tom Dillman. So Dillman, 2.6 seconds up the road. Here's Giuseppe Cipriani in 15th. And he's going to be captured for too long by the race leader, Tom Dillman. And Dillman absolutely flying. And this is the sort of performance that you look to from the very, very best drivers. With it all to do, Tom Dillman has just managed the opening phase of the race absolutely to perfection. He was helped slightly by that poor pit stop for Matevos Sasakian. But that succession of flying laps has given the Frenchman now every opportunity to claim the crown. He just needs to stay where he is and keep doing what he's doing to win the title. He navigates the AVF car out of the final turn, down the straight. His advantage over Nissany, 2.5 seconds. So it goes out again. Third place, it remains Pietro Fittipaldi. Fourth is Louis Delatraz. Fifth is Matevos Sasakian. But Louis Delatraz from fourth place and lapping 0.8 of a second a lap slower than Tom Dillman is dropping away from the chance of winning this championship. Roy Nissany, chance to return to the podium once more, and the 18 points that would be on offer for Roy Nissany will certainly help his cause as Mathieu Vaxivière peels into the pit. So that will jump Nissany over Mathieu Vaxivière. Aurélien Panis also out of the points, and so Nissany could well climb to fourth in the standings if things stay as they are. Nissany, is he coming back towards Tom Dillman? Yes, he is. He takes 0.6 of a second out of Dillman through the middle sector on this lap. And this is the question as Dillman slides again, which is, does the AVF car have enough grip to make it through to the end of the race? Because, and this is permutations time, if Dillman were to slip to second and be passed by Roy Nissany, then Louis Delatraz, if he stays where he is in fourth, would win the championship. So if Delatraz remains in fourth checkered flag, Dillman has to win the race to take the title. If Nissany were to find a way past Tom Dillman, then Dillman, to win the crown, would have to hope Matevos Sasakian is able to navigate a way around Louis Delatraz. And Sasakian certainly closing up onto the tail of the Swiss driver. There is Delatraz. And he has got the SMP racing car of Matevos Sasakian just behind him. So many permutations to consider for Pietro Fittipaldi. Well, he's currently looking pretty good for his first podium of the season. As the engines sing coming out of turn 4 into turn 5. Again, picking up the throttle downhill towards turn 6, and then swooping uphill through turn 7 and 8 on towards turn 9. Using all the aerodynamic grip to very good effect, and then downhill towards turn 10. And again, at the front of the field, Roy Nassani, through the middle sector, has closed up towards Tom Dillman. There's still a gap of over a second between the pair of them, but there is still over a quarter of the race remaining. And when we were looking at Dillman last time around, you could see how much that car was moving around. So that could potentially be a consequence. Tom Dillman completes his 17th lap. He does a 1:34.1. Nassani a 1:33.9. 34.3 for Louis Delatraz, 34.5 for Matevos Asakian. So all the gaps open up ever so slightly on this lap, except for the one between the two leaders. Into sweepers at turn 3. Delatraz and Asakian, that gap still pretty stable, 0.8 of a second. And Matevos Asakian, certainly that we've seen on camera, hasn't yet had the chance to take a bit of a crack at Louis Delatraz. They have got René Binder, there he is, the Austrian, starting to cruise up onto their tail as well. And Binder, currently the 3rd fastest car on the circuit, as now Tom Dillman gets in and amongst the traffic with Giuseppe Cipriani, navigates the Durango car without any drama. So that is one potential worry that's dealt with for Dillman. Nassani also passed Cipriani as they went through turn 10. So again, Dillman and Nassani pretty much even through the first couple of sectors. Dillman fights the wheel, swings through out of the final turn into lap 19 of the race. 1.7 seconds was the gap at the end of sector 2. It's 1.8 seconds at the end of the lap. So Nassani, having closed up a couple of laps ago, now drops away once more from Tom Dillman. And for Roy Nassani as well, there is the question about, with what he's doing at the moment, it's enough to secure 4th in the championship. He's not going to get any more ground in the championship if he goes toe-to-toe with Tom Dillman, but a win is a win. And so that is certainly something for Nassani to look to try and pursue. 3rd place, Pietro Fittipaldi. And then in 4th, Delatraz has just shaken off Matevos Asakian a little bit. The gap between the pair of them going out to over a second. For Tom Dillman, this is going to be one of the most remarkable championship comebacks in terms of starting from 7th when his rival starts from pole, but it's Dillman who's managed the race. But he's not done and dusted just yet. Nassani inching closer. But the only driver alongside Tom Dillman who's able to consistently get beneath 1:34 seconds is Igor Yuruchov in 7th place, who is just absolutely charging after his disappointment on the grid. And when we were talking at the start of the show about how everything needed to fall in Dillman's favour today, a quick car, Yuruchov, stalling on the grid. He started from the pit lane. You have the coming together between Kalis and Panis. That's another quick car that's from contention. That the pit lane problem for Matevos Asakian. But then, on the flip side, Dillman has absolutely delivered with what he needed to do on track as well. And Roy Nassani hovering 1.8 seconds back from Tom Dillman. That last lap for both of them, 1:33.9. It's a 20-second penalty for Aurélien Panis. That will be added to his time at the end of the race. And that consistently takes away any chance that Panis would have had of getting into the points. Replay of Tom Dillman at work. You can see the loads being applied through the front wing, the forces flowing through the car. Here are the two Teo Martin Motorsport teammates, Visser and Kanemaru. They have been very evenly matched all year. And it's Visser who, in this final race of the season, is just clear of her Japanese teammate, although in terms of points this year, Kanemaru has been racking up the points more regularly than Visser, and often with slightly higher finishing positions. But Visser looking to finish the year on a high. It's had a good run in to the end of the season. They're both being caught by Jack Aitken. This is the fight for 8th, 9th and 10th. 11th place on the road, Aurélien Panis. He'll be 11th place in the he'll be 12th in the classification once he's got the 20-second penalty applied to his time. And once Alfonso Cadiz' penalty is taken into account as well. So we've got 5 3/4 minutes plus a lap remaining in the Formula V8 3.5 championship season. Tom Dillman leading the race from Roy Nissany, Pietro Fittipaldi in 3rd, Louis Delatraz is 4th, Matevos Isakian 5th, René Binder is 6th, Igor Yuruchov 7th, Vaitska Visser in 8th, from Kanemaru 9th, Jack Aitken in 10th, Aurélien Panis in 11th, and Tom Randall in 12th, as Panis looks to try and light the move on Jack Aitken into turn 1. Nothing doing for the Frenchman. Now, in terms of the championship, Tom Dillman, as it stands, is poised to claim the title. Victory for Dillman will be more than enough with Delatraz down in 4th. Louis Delatraz now just having a little bit of an elevation of his pace on that last lap as we continue to follow this battle. Roy Nissany trying to inch ever closer to Tom Dillman as well at the front of the field, but that's not really happening. Here is Dillman, the race leader, the on-the-road championship leader. 4.5 minutes plus a lap to go. Out of the final turn heads Dillman. The team's pit board will tell him how long is remaining, but he will just be in the rhythm. He will be focused on the job. He leads by 1.68 seconds from Roy Nissany. Then there is the gap of about 7 seconds back to Pietro Fittipaldi in 3rd. So the leading duo flying in tandem. And then Fittipaldi in 3rd, a second clear of Delatraz, who in turn is a second clear of Isakian. And after that period a few moments ago where Dillman was moving around all over the road, that certainly seems to have stopped happening as Visser punches the hole through the air. Kanemaru tries to follow in her wheel tracks, but he's not going to be close enough to launch a challenge as they arrive into the opening sequence. Aitken and Panis behind, not able to particularly close up onto the Teo Martin Motorsport pairing either. So that battle remains as it was. But Kanemaru might fancy one roll of the dice to see if 8th place could be on the cards. As Dillman climbs into turn 12, fights the wheel. The Michelin tyres will be feeling pretty worn out by now. It's a very durable tyre, but Dillman, by running that succession of something like 8 qualifying laps really in a row, bang, 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 in the middle of the race to jump him up into the lead. But Nissany, as he gets towards the end of the race, unable to consistently make inroads. For Pietro Fittipaldi, well, this has got all the makings of a breakthrough result for the Brazilian. He still leads teammate Louis Delatraz by over a second. And with a switch in the position, not going to do anything to help Delatraz's championship chances, and Louis not having the pace to try and come back at Nissany or Dillman. Then Pietro looking pretty well set for the podium. For Tom Dillman, he just can't think about anything other than the next corner, because as soon as your mind starts to drift, as soon as you start to think about those championship celebrations, that's when the mistake can happen. That's when you suddenly find yourself sliding off into the gravel trap and out of proceedings. And Nissany, it's 1.4 seconds back now. He's trying to get a little bit closer. 1.3 seconds, in fact, as they come to the end of the second sector. They're going to have time for 2 more laps at the end of this one. So they're about to start the penultimate lap of the season. Tom Dillman, I expect, will be very glad when the last lap board goes out. It's been a very, very well-judged performance, this, from Dillman. Been aggressive when he needed to be, just been blindingly fast when he's needed to be. And so he leads Nissany 1.3 seconds clear as they head down the straight. And you can see Nissany, he's got his DRS on the go. And Roy Nissany, as the front wing judders under braking, oh, just runs wide through turn one. That will have cost him everything he gained using the DRS down the straight. Was going to say he just maybe fancies that he might be able to get close enough to Tom Dillman for one spin of the wheel, one chance to challenge for the victory. But he's lost 3/10 through that mistake at turn one. So in turn, that swings everything back in favour of Tom Dillman. Here you see Alfonso Calis being very ambitious with the route through the first corner. Leaps over the speed bump, trip to the chiropractor needed on Monday as Tom Dillman spurts down out of turn 9 into turn 10. Roy Nissany queuing up behind him. But Nissany 1.8 seconds back. He's far too distant with just a lap to run. Fittipaldi from Delatraz from Saki, and that battle still much as it was. They've been joined by René Binder. They're being caught as well by Igor Yurutshov. But none of those positions looking likely to change as now heading through the final corner, about to start the last lap of the race, about to start the last lap of the championship is Tom Dillman. Nissany a little bit closer. Dillman uses his DRS down the front straight for the final time, just to make certain of the buffer over Roy Nissany. It's been a long journey for Tom Dillman. He's always been renowned as one of the quickest drivers at this level for quite a period, but this is the year that he has translated all that potential into what is looking like it's going to be a championship winning performance. He has got a handful of corners to go as he accelerates through turn 6, halfway through this final lap of the race. Tom Dillman, as it stands, is going to win the championship, and it's really in his hands now. Out of turn 9, just the heavy braking zone at turn 10. That's somewhere that you can get caught out. Very much doubt he will be, though. He runs over the ripples, down through the gears, into the left-hander. Second left-hander to come. Again, no drama for Dillman into turn 12. This has been a quite astonishing performance from Tom Dillman. Brilliantly judged drive, and that succession of laps mid-race was something just a little bit special. And now, as he comes out of the chicane and into the final turn, Tom Dillman can see the checkered flag, and Tom Dillman wins the race and the Formula V8 3.5 championship for 2016. The AVF team are overjoyed and jumping and bouncing on the pit wall. They celebrate second place in Nissany, with Pietro Fittipaldi completing the podium ahead of Louis Delatraz and Matevos Isakian. Look at the celebrations from AVF. They cannot believe it. For Fortek and Richard Dutton, well, sometimes racing is about the disappointment. For AVF, it is about the pure joy, and the same for Tom Dillman. He has won the race. He has won the championship. And he has done it with a very, very special drive here in Barcelona. And he is overjoyed at the wheel. Punches the air in delight. So let's have a look then at the results. So Dillman wins it from Nissany, and a maiden podium for Pietro Fittipaldi. Louis Delatraz in 4th from Matevos Isakian, René Binder and Igor Yurutshov, who also set the fastest lap. And Bates Gavissa ahead of Jack Aitken, who pipped Kanemaru on the last lap of the race. Aurélien Panis in 11th from Tom Randall and Alfonso Calis, with us losing Vaxivier and Baptista along the way. So in terms then of the championship, Tom Dillman, the champion, by 7 points from Louis Delatraz, Igor Yuruchov in third, Nissany in fourth, ahead of Panis, Vaxivière and Binder. It's been a very interesting season this year in the Formula V8 3.5 Championship, and we have been treated to a truly dramatic final weekend in Barcelona. Yesterday, it looked as if it was Delatraz who had all the momentum with him for the crown, but it's Tom Dillman who has put in a champion's drive this afternoon, winning the race from 7th on the grid, and therefore taking the title. And this is going to be a lap to Parc Fermé to savour for Tom Dillman, and then the celebrations will begin. Dillman heads into the pit lane. The AVF team are already bouncing in Parc Fermé as Nissany pulls to a halt. You can hear the chants of the AVF team as Nissany jumps out. Dillman comes in. There are the roars. Tom Dillman, 2016 Formula V8 3.5 champion, runs to join the team, who are almost overcome with joy. Great drive as well from Pietro Fittipaldi to third. He was the top rookie in the race as well. As Nissany celebrates second place, Tom Dillman almost doesn't know what to do with himself there in the garage, the championship winner. That was such an impressive performance from Tom Dillman, and it's hard to explain, but that succession of laps during the middle of the race was really quite something. A very, very special drive. We will be able to hear from our race and championship winner in a few minutes' time. As Tom Dillman removes the helmet. As we look at our podium finishers at work. For Pietro Fittipaldi, arguably a breakthrough result, a superb third-place finish and the first podium. Roy Nissany, once more, another very strong performance from the Israeli driver. And for Tom Dillman, pretty much a perfect race. Great start, brilliant strategy, and fully executed. Let's go and hear from our champion.
Tom Dillman, AVF, what a dramatic final contention.
What a race. I don't know what to say. From P7, I didn't want to give up. There was always a chance. I had a great start. I was really aggressive race. Beat Pit early, the team did a great job on the pit stop. Then I did some fast lap. The car was awesome today. And I don't know what to say, it's amazing. Especially that way, you know, we lost the lead. It was looking really unlikely after the quali this morning. And to take the title in the end, it's crazy.
Especially with the conditions this morning, of course, it wasn't the best position to get. You have to manage your mind, self-contention. This is a great reward for AVF and for yourself. It's maybe the most dramatic title.
Yeah, I mean, to finish second would have been really disappointing for me. There was only the title when I started the season that would satisfy me. It was looking not so good, and yeah, to do it in the last race, it feels even better. You know, we will remember that one for a long time.
Now celebrate, Tom, and in your mind, what was the first image when you crossed the line?
Champion. I mean, I saw all my guys on the pit wall. I knew everybody was going crazy, and now I have to take it in a bit. Yeah.
Cool down. Thank you very much. Congratulations. It's been an honor.
Let's take a look back then at the best of the race. And off the line, it was a Sakian who got the jump. Pietro Fittipaldi rocketed away, and Delatraz was slightly sluggish from pole. That meant, as they filed through the first turn, Dillman was able to get right onto the tail of his championship rival. Sakian was leading from Nissani in the early running. Sevier tried to ease clear of Dillman. Meanwhile, behind, there was an entanglement between Alfonso Calis and Aurélien Panis. And as Panis limped back to the pits, the queue formed behind him, and there was some very close battling, with Vitor Baptista being the loser from that, possibly jumping the car out of gear. Meanwhile, starting from the pit lane, Igor Yuruchov was absolutely on it, charging through the field, as Alfonso Calis pushed a little bit hard. The pit stop cycle worked out perfectly in Dillman's favour, and when all was said and done, a succession of flying laps mid-race allowed him to jump the field and take the lead, and thereafter that put him into a championship winning position, and Dillman controlled the race perfectly to take a championship win from 7th on the grid. It seemed unlikely as the lights went out, but as the checkered flag came out, Tom Dillman and AVF had taken the championship. Second place went to Nissani, with Pietro Fittipaldi completing the podium and being the top rookie. So a lot to celebrate for the AVF team. It's on to the podium presentations. When they find the drivers, the AVF team in the throes of celebration underneath the rostrum, as Pietro Fittipaldi makes his first trip to the Formula V8 3.5 podium. Second place to Roy Nissani, and our race and championship winner, Tom Dillman, for AVF. Celebrations will go on long into the night, you suspect. The French national anthem in honour of Tom Dillman, race winner and championship winner here in the season finale in Barcelona. It was a quite magnificent drive, and the adrenaline buzz from that one for Dillman will take a long time to fade. So we'll move on to the presentations, and third place to Pietro Fittipaldi. Really impressive drive from the Brazilian, a lightning start that set him up beautifully for the rest of the race. For Roy Nissani, after a few difficult races and difficult qualifyings, a chance to once more show his potential at the front of the field, and a very solid second place to finish the season and jump him up to 4th in the championship standings. And for Tom Dillman, well, quite fantastic performance. He is the 2016 champion, and to do it winning the final race of the year is a very, very special way to seal the title. Pietro Fittipaldi also able to celebrate the top rookie triumph as well, What's been so impressive this year is that more often than not, the top rookie has also been on the outright race podium. So that is something for Fittipaldi to celebrate. For AVF, it is their second win of the year, but it's surely the most important one. So the celebrations will go on long into the night here in Barcelona, as Tom Dillman has, in dramatic fashion, claimed the Formula V8 3.5 title. Thank you very much for joining us for all the action over the course of the season. And as Dillman celebrates in Barcelona, it's time for me, Ben Evans, to say goodbye on behalf of everybody in the paddock in Barcelona, and we'll see you next season.